hello, welcome back. This is the third day of the 7th edition of Animasyros Festival Agora. So today we have a full program that starts with the first section, which is content and Greek video on demand platforms. Goes on with Géraldine Bachet, de Annecy Festival, représentant Animation du Monde, representing Animation du Monde. And we'll take a break at 2:30, and then we'll be back with you at 4:30 with animated documentary. Don't miss this section, please. And afterwards, the Greek, not Greek, actually it's production companies, French and Greek ones. So we'll have Folimage with us, presenting the full program of the Folimage Studios, and we'll have Nether Productions and White Fox Productions. So let's introduce our first guest. This is Sinobo. So Sinobo is the first Greek platform streaming independent films and art films in Greece. And we are very pleased to welcome Daphne Berti and Tassos Melemenidis, who will present everything about this platform. Thank you for coming. Okay, enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Is that okay with the microphone? Okay, cool. Thanks to the organizers for inviting us, and thanks to the festival for hosting us, and the production team over there for organizing everything for us. So I'm Daphne. I'm the CEO and Managing Director of Sinobo. And this is Tassos, Head of Acquisitions and Programming of the team. So I left my life in Glasgow and the UK 3 years ago, and my career in science, to come back to Greece and create Sinobo. And I have to say, it was a really huge risk at the time, and there was a lot of discouraging feedback I had from people when I was starting to form this idea. But I'm very happy I took the decision to go for it, because really it has been a very successful case study so far. And we're very happy to be here today and talk more about the story and our vision. So today I will give a 20-minute, I hope it's 20 minutes. You can stop me if it's not. 20-minute presentation to give you an overview of Sinobo and its content. And I will briefly talk about indie animation in Greece. And then if I have time, I'll go over a couple of case studies that kind of describe the way we work with films. So, kicking off with Sinobo, it is, as the organizer said, the first clean cut subscription VOD service to launch in Greece, and it is also the first one dedicated to film. It also currently operates as a distributor of selected art house titles in Greece. And the platform currently offers the biggest selection of art house and independent cinema in the Greek and Cypriot territories. We launched about 1.5 years ago, and we cater to just Greece and Cyprus for now. And we're based in Exarchia in the center of Athens. So who is behind Sinobo? Alexis and myself started this, and we are currently a team of 12 from completely different backgrounds: e-commerce, marketing, theater, law, completely different backgrounds, journalism, and but we all do have one thing in common, which is our love for cinema. And I really have to give some credits to this team, because it was almost an impossible operation to happen with the resources that we had. And I think the devotion and the pride they take in their work, and the fact that we all share this one vision, made this possible. So what is our vision? It's to create, inspire, and strengthen the community of cinema lovers in Greece and all over the world. And our mission and how we plan to achieve this is by introducing the audience to the era of real access to great cinema. And what do I mean by that? And what is our strategy to get there? So, firstly, we're planning to make great cinema truly accessible in whatever means, whether that is in a theater and live with an audience, or whether it is through a screen on your home, in your home. We just want to give access to the wealth of independent cinema that is out there. Then we plan to communicate this a lot. Using 360 communication strategy, we plan to make sure that the audience knows about this, knows about these films, knows about the platform. And here I'm not talking about a marketing strategy that is focused around Sinobo as a platform, but also we have a marketing strategy also for individual titles. And third, by building an interactive community of subscribers and cinema lovers. We want to make this umbrella under which our subscribers and the cinephile community in Greece can interact, exchange ideas, talk about the films they love, and we plan to meet this community out with the screen, out there, in events and other stuff. Yeah, so with no further ado, I will talk a bit about the product. So currently, what does the subscriber actually buy? So with a subscription of $7.99 a month, and after they have 14 days free trial, they have unlimited access to hundreds of hand-picked films at HD with 5.1 sound where that is available, and obviously with Greek subtitles. All the content is protected by digital rights management software that are approved by Hollywood studios. And the platform currently offers all the usual features of a VOD platform: continue watching, add to my list, search, and all these things, watch offline. And one can access it from their mobile devices through apps, from the web through their computer, and from apps on smart TVs on all the major brands of smart TVs. So before I go on to talk about the content, I would like to give a bit of an overview of the reach we had during these 1.5 years that we launched, because it really kind of highlights the fact that we are actually getting there and creating that community that we were aiming for. During this first year, we had about 9 million visits to our site. That is the site not for streaming, but like what the subscribers is before they are part of the service. So reading articles on our blog about films and reading about the service. With 1 minute and 40 seconds duration, that means that they actually stay on our site for about these 2 minutes to read about it and are interested about it. So we have a newsletter audience of about 60K at the minute, 60% of which is engaged, which means they do actually open our emails and read our weekly suggestions, our top 5, what is coming up. I want to clear out, this is not subscribers. We would love this number to be subscribers, but it's not. It's people that are interested, though, in the product. They're interested in the films that we recommend them. They want to see our suggestions, and that's the most important thing for us. And I don't want to bore you with too many numbers, but this is just a snapshot of our social listening during this time. And I want to highlight that Sinobo is turning into a kind of a love brand. People love engaging with it, and they love engaging among the community. And I think maybe one number to see is the fact that during the last month, we had 300,000 engagements on our posts on Facebook, which means people actually commented on the things that we share, mentioned us, sent a film to a friend that was on our site, or liked our content, and another 120K on Instagram. And this is just the last month. Maybe it doesn't say much to people that are not into digital marketing, but it's really a high number, a high level of engagement. So, what about the content? So currently, Sinobo offers about almost 1,000 titles from 614 different directors and from 84 different production countries. We add content constantly, and we add a minimum of 18 titles a month, having a weekly premiere, which is a film that was never screened in Greece before, and fresh collections and tributes to directors, to thematics. What the key thing is to understand here is the fact that every single one of these titles was selected based on certain criteria, and it was selected carefully. It was not part of a huge package deal that we got based on some commercial agreement. They're all titles that we select one by one. Tassos and his team here, they're specialists in that. That is important because we are a service that is really speaking to a very niche and targeted audience. We cannot disappoint. We love cinema. We know our job very well, and we want to make sure that the content that reaches their eyes is worth watching. So we literally handpick the cinema that needs to be discovered here. And so that's what we try to do, and we currently have, I think, the biggest library of all the must-sees of a cinephile audience in Greece. And if I had to break it down to the actions that we specialize in, these would be them. So I'll go on a bit to give you an idea of the actual content that's in the platform. So we don't like distinctions in life, but we do love distinctions in festivals. And we have the biggest selection of awarded cinema in Greece. Currently, we have about 15% of our catalog comprises of films that were awarded in the biggest festivals, or like Cannes, Berlin, Venice, or got Oscars, for example. Then it's Festival Gems. Festival is our second home. We try to be in most of the festivals, and we screen catalogs from top to bottom. This is where all the magic happens, really. So whether it is a favori that didn't get an award, or it is a film in a parallel program, we want to make sure that our subscriber will eventually have access to it, as long as it's, because it's worth watching. Then it's Greek cinema. So Sinobo was the first ever service to actually put an umbrella under Greek contemporary art house cinema. It was really nowhere to be found all in one place. And currently we have the largest selection available in Greece of this kind of cinema, and it's really worth exploring. And it is our way to reintroduce Greek cinema to the audience and make sure the directors get well known. Then we have our classics. We do specialize on that as well. We have films from the 1930s to the 2000s. We have filmographies. We chase up filmographies, and we currently have filmographies of Truffaut, Kieslowski, Kiarostami, to Lynch, and Wong Kar-wai. Really a lot of classic cinema there, and a lot of their filmographies. And then we have premieres, which are films that would never reach the Greek audience if it wasn't for the platform. They're films that would not be able to get theatrical distribution, and that in the last years they slipped the radar of distributors. So we chase up these films, and we make sure that they at least have a premiere on the platform and a life there. And then we have our exclusives, which, as you can see, are the best films ever. But apart from that, they are the films that really mark our identity. They're films that we hold all rights to, we are also distributing, and that we are going to have in the platform for the next many years. Among them, you can find, like, currently we have 60 films that we are distributing. Not all of them have been released yet. Among these are the Wong Kar-wai 4K restored titles, as well as the filmography of Bong Joon-ho before Parasite. And now, these are some of the things coming up that you really shouldn't miss. So Benedetta, Paul Verhoeven's next film with Virginie Efira and Daphne Patakia. Then we've got the most, the most shocking Palme d'Or of this year, Titan, from Julia Ducournau. Collective, which is an Oscar racing documentary, and the Golden Bear, Bad Like Banging or Looney Porn. Hive is also an amazing film that literally got all the awards at Sundance. So we have quite a strong lineup on our exclusives that's coming up in this season, and we really hope our audience is really buzzing for it. So what about animation? Animation, we do have animation in our platform because we love animation. It really has the most beautiful way of telling the most difficult stories. It's really magical, and we love it. And it is a separate category in our platform that you can find on the start page. Currently, as the platform does not include underage content, so it's really a platform for adults for now. We don't have a kids section. So the animation I will talk about here is mostly indie animation that is relevant to adults. And these are some of the titles that we have on the platform. Many of them had the theatrical release in Greece. Many of them have never reached Greece before. And although it is a commitment of ours, to ourselves mostly, to add one animation in the platform every month, it's proving really hard to source. And currently animation only comprises 2% of our catalog, which we are sad about, but it's really, we want to make that bigger, but it's hard to source for many reasons that we can discuss separately and afterwards. But one main reason, actually, it's so hard to source, is the fact that it's really not lucky with Greek distribution. So Greek traditional distribution is really not helpful for animation films, for indie adult animation films. So less than one of these kind of titles is released in Greece every year. And this is not very encouraging. So here I've made a diagram on the right. Please don't get lost in the many numbers. I will guide you through it. But basically, so these are all titles of films that belong in the indie animation category that are relevant for adults and that were released in Greece. They did have a theatrical distribution in Greece over the last years. From Swallows of Kabul to The Red Turtle, they're films that were released after 2016. Waltz with Basir was released 2008. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, as you can see, after 2016, the admissions were, like, for all films, were below 5,000. I mean, that's still a success for Greek standards, but this is how it performs. And the sad thing about it is that it's only one a year that comes out. And these are all films that we also have in the platform right now. And what I'm basically trying to show here is the interest that there is for some films on the digital in comparison to the box office. So what you see there is platform clicks. I want to clear out, this is not views by any means, and it's also not unique users. It's literally how many times somebody clicked on the film with a intent to maybe watch it, or with the intent to see what style of animation it is. It's not actually completed views. Yeah, it basically just shows, like, for films like The Swallows of Kabul and Josep, they were films that got released in the pandemic and had to shut after a very small period of time, and obviously they couldn't have a theatrical continuation. And they are among the most popular in our platform. And I think that really shows the power of the digital and the fact that the film can really have and make an impression and a career after its theatrical distribution. So, yeah, and if I'm okay with time. Okay, cool, okay. So, case studies. Yeah, one of our case studies is Swallows of Kabul. It is an animation about the invasion of the Taliban in Kabul in 1998, and it is a wonderfully done animation that was in the parallel program of Uncertain Regard in Cannes in 2019. It is a film that I don't think distributors actually screened it, even, because it has limited theatrical potential, because it obviously has a lot of burgas in it, and it's you know, this is not hot for theatrical distribution in Greece. So it is an animation as well, which limits it by itself. But even if they screened it, there was not much interest in it. And we saw the film, and we loved the film, and we knew that, you know, we will try and make it work in theatrical, and then there is also the platform, that the film can really have a life afterwards in the platform. So we believed in it, and we took up the film, and the first thing to do was, when we were setting up its release, to make sure it is actually accessible. So apart from the usual press covers that we try to have for the film, and apart from the usual social media campaigns that we carried out, we wrote articles about the film on our Sinobo website, on the blog, and articles that were describing how beautiful the film is and the topic of the film. And we set up Google search ads. That means that when somebody would search for The Swallows of Kabul in Greek, they would actually see the result of the fact that, oh, this film actually does play in Greece. This film actually does play in Greece, and it's here. I'll read more about it. And they would end up in a place where they can read more about it and find the link to actually watch it. And this film was really well received for our audience. And I mean, in the cinema, as I said, it couldn't really have a life because COVID shut everything down. But it really did really well on the platform. Obviously, after a while, it reached a plateau. The most views were initially, and then it reached the plateau like most films do on streaming. The most important thing is that the info was there. And when this happened, the devastating events in the re-invasion of the Taliban in Kabul in 15th of August, the outcome was extreme, and the people that actually came in, that actually searched and saw the information that this film is in Greece and it's here, increased by 400%, 370%, and that is a comparison of like 1 month of data with the previous 1 year of searches, if that makes sense. So the 400% increase was in comparison to the whole previous lifetime of the film. And then the number of people that clicked on the article to read more about the animation and potentially watched it increased by 500%. So we didn't have to do anything about this. We had already done the right setup for the film. We had already made sure the material is available there. And obviously that gave a result in the views in the platform as well. As you can see, by August it was starting to reach that plateau of films where it still continues to be viewed, but with a slower pace, and suddenly it started peaking again. And that really shows the power of the digital distribution. And we took on that cue, that's a bit of a fun and nice thing for us. We took on that cue, that people were interested to read more about this, and we wanted to raise awareness, and we organized a few screenings for free for the audience, where we raised money to give to an organization, Women for Afghan Women, to support their fight in supporting minorities in Kabul, in Afghanistan. And the turnout was amazing. People were queuing, and it really shows the power of the community here. And that film made such a huge difference, I think, for Greece at that specific event, to raise awareness of what's going on right now. It really would never have reached the Greek audience if it wasn't for the digital distribution of the film. And I don't know, I will probably skip the next case study so that we're not, and we can discuss more about it later. Yeah. Yeah, do you want to do that now? Yeah, okay, cool, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Well, thank you for involving.
It was really interesting. This connection between the streaming and the big screen that you have done. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Actually, I want to make a disclaimer on that. The data there is not from an official report. It's actually I had to call people and research and look at box office results. So if it's not completely accurate, excuse me. I really had to carry out the research by myself before I come here. And also, I want to clear out that you cannot make a direct comparison between box office and platform clicks, obviously. But I was just trying to find a measure of the interest of the audience towards the film. And that's why I want to say it's not so strictly relative, but also it's a way to maybe try and,
Do you plan to distribute for kids or animation? I mean, for kids. Do you have this plan?
We have it as a thought, for sure.
There is too much competition there, actually. That's one reason. That's probably we avoided until now to do that.
What if you focus on Greek animation? What would be an idea? Just drop an idea, because there are, animation done by Greek filmmakers, animators, and
it definitely interests us, and I think our audience wants to have the kind of content we choose also for their kids, and it's actually been quite a bit of requests about it. But our resources right now don't permit has a huge opening like that, and because also, as Tasso said, there is Earth, which does a great job with indie and Greek animation, I think, and for kids, and it's for free. So it's really hard to kind of try. We don't have the resources to make something. So yeah, but it's something we definitely are thinking about the future. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Michalis Kalopedis.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very useful. It's a twofold question. First, I just want to say thank you for the presentation because I was not aware that you also do distribution, because I'm from Cyprus and I used to work with a distributor that had some of the titles that you now have. So I will be very interested to talk with you later to see how I can become your client and continue organizing some of these screenings in my hometown in Larnaca in Cyprus. Now the question is if you would be open, and if something maybe you have considered, or if not, maybe if you would be open to it, to support the animation community in Cyprus and Greece, either by doing, having some pre-sales, even if it's a very minor percentage, or at least provide some letters of interest or commitment that you would possibly carry some of the TV series that we're trying to develop in Cyprus and Greece, because with our industry being very underdeveloped, this is the major obstacle that we have when we are trying to develop our own IP, and then make the next step in getting co-productions from other countries, or even submitting our projects to pitching forums where this is a pre-requirement from our countries. And it sounds simple, but it's a very difficult thing to achieve. So I just wanted to know if this is something you maybe have considered, or if not, if you will be open for a discussion. Thank you.
We're here to support the cinema community. We want to, this is part of our vision, and we will do our best to do that. And we're happy to give letters of intent and things like that, but providing we, of course, get to know the content and discuss more about it. Now supporting in terms of production, this is a big step for us, and our resources don't yet allow it, but it's something that would interest in the future. And with but if it's, as you say, like something small and there's
I think the most general answer to this is that Sinobo the past 18 months tried to create all of this, and now we are in the season that we actually have to make some roads about the future. What are going to be? Are you going to be co-producer of films? Are we going to expand to other countries? So this season probably will be the season that we actually have to look at about the future. So we'll try to expand to different fields. And I think that's a matter of long internal, conversation about that.
It's something that's on our table to be more active in investing in pre-sales and things like that. But it's something that we're working on.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Ayani?
So you touched upon this a bit, but then you kind of skirted the question about the difficulties for bringing animation films and how it relates to distribution of them in Greece. Can you just elaborate just a little bit more on that?
So, firstly, it is a hard type of film to make. I think there is not so many out there. So that for a start makes it more difficult. Then a lot of effort goes into making them, so not so many are made. But then also when we do go to big festivals, there is not that many there, and if there is some, very often, they're bought by multi-territory platforms already. Or we see one in a parallel program and we go and make an offer, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we will discuss it, we will let you know, and then suddenly they're like, oh, we sold it to Netflix. And it's, that is part of the difficulty, and then you can...
I think the most difficult thing is that if, in market terms, consider animation as a specialized content, and consider documentary as a specialized content, there are a lot of specialized agents and companies that actually sell only documentaries, for example. We can't find and we can't trace similar companies that are specialized to indie feature film animation. So that's a big problem for us. We usually talk about the animated films that we like that belong to companies that have mostly live action films. So we are in a place, if we want to buy one animation film that we like, we have to buy probably some other films that are not animated. So that, for me, that's the main reason, that we haven't traced any specialized companies that we can actually talk about animation only.
You guys, you use the same criteria that you use for your live action films in selecting animation, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, the kind of the philosophy behind Sinobo is still and the selection is still the same. You can talk a bit about the more selection.
We try to acquire films that we think that are very interesting for the audience in Greece, especially animation has to do with socio-political issues. I'm in charge of the programming, but I hate to make personal choices. I don't like to actually acquire films that I don't think that it's interesting for the audience to find in Sinobo a selection of my favorite films. So we try to make actually a diverse product mix, and the same rule happens with animation. We try to find interesting issues, interesting themes in animation that actually lots of audience can engage in the future. I think Soldiers of Kabul was a perfect example because it has to do with current affairs, and a lot of audience asked about it and searched about it 2 years after we released it in cinema.
Yeah, I think the quality of the production, if it brings something new to the community as well, like if it brings something new to the creation, and these are all, this is how we choose films, and this is how we choose animation as well.
I was wondering if you are, with COVID, I believe you couldn't travel in different festivals, but I mean, Sunny Side of the Dog, which takes place once every June in La Rochelle, it is the place to go. Absolutely. Okay. And of course, Annecy for animation. I mean, this festival, you must absolutely, because there's everybody. I mean, documentary and animation, it's my field, so I can advise you to...
Recently we have started traveling again.
Yes.
We went in Venice.
Especially for independent documentaries in Annecy, in La Rochelle, and Annecy there is the whole planet.
Well, that's the thing. We started traveling now, and if that continues to the future and we don't have any other COVID issues, we will probably not to go not only to the big festival but to specialized festivals as the one you said.
And also another idea that just came up, it's about Balkans. I think we need to create a Balkan community. There is such a there are so many films that are produced in the Balkans area, and we're not aware of. And we should.
That's why we're here.
Great. We are grateful. Okay.
Sorry, one more thing. I wanted to ask if you carry short films on your platform, and if not, if this is again something you would be interested to consider.
We only presented one collection from the Greek Academy, curated by the Greek Academy, of the awarded short films of the last decade in Greece. But apart from this, we haven't published and published, independently only short films. It's one of the things that we'll think about
It's
for the
something
future.
that really interests us, but we're quite a small team for all the things we do, and with short films, it's a lot more effort to source them independently and make all the lab costs and like the lab the logistics behind the small films make it a bit imbalanced right now for the amount of team members we are, and but like we are looking at it now for this season. Yeah.
I think festivals that are specialized in specific content like animation can help us. So that, for example, to make collaboration about curated collections or stuff like that, because it will save time from us, and you are the experts on this, and probably would be very helpful.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You are younger, dynamic, full of energy, and you'll make it.
They
So
talk about you.
well, here our motto is we need each other. So, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back for our second presentation of the day in our session, Content and Greek Video on Demand Platforms. We're really excited to have with us Grigoris Kokinakis from Cosmote TV. Mr. Kokinakis has an education background in drama, but more than that, he has 28 years of experience in the pay TV industry. Cosmote TV is the largest player, definitely, in the Greek market. He's responsible for negotiating and acquiring all sorts of content, VOD and pay TV content, series, films, specials, documentaries. But he's also responsible for supervising pre-development and production of co-productions that Cosmote is involved in. So we are happy that he's here to walk us through some of the work that they've been doing, and specifically with one of the films that is actually being showcased in Animasyros this year as well. Welcome.
Thank you, Yanni. Thank you for the introduction. Well, as you said, Cosmote TV is one of the largest, prominent actually, pay TV platforms in Greece. I'm not here to present the company. I'm here to support what Animasyros is doing for the last years, and to see how Cosmote TV is also contributing in animation and in ways of co-production and in acquiring the rights of foreign animation films. So apparently this year we have a film that's going to be introduced and presented tomorrow, I think, at around 8 o'clock. It's called Lost and Found. It's a film directed by Vivian Papageorgiou that we co-produced and financed along with Greek Academy, Film Academy, about 3 years ago. And as you know, animation takes a long time to become a film. We are proud to say that this is our first animation product, and I must say that it intrigued me because I first came as a visitor a few years ago, and I thought, well, Cosmote TV should go into production, into animation as well, and not only feature films, as we have already co-produced about 45 films. Also, Cosmote History is another channel that is part of our platform, and independently they also co-produced animation films, starting by one called Karagiozis the Movie. Karagiozis is a shadow puppet figure of the Greek folklore, and Anastasia Manu and White Fox will present this project today at 6:30. If you're interested, you can go and see it. We suggest that you do. It's a wonderful film. And also we are co-producing a short film called IS, which is the story of a human hair, the last hair that a man has on his head. The director is Kostas Bakouris, and I think it's a collaboration also with the Animasyros Film Festival. So we can see the trailer.
Let's see the trailer. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Passengers for flight B18.
Please do not leave luggage unattended.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard.
Yeah, I think you will enjoy it.
Is there any way, could you talk to us a little bit about surprise. Vimeo's, taking control of my computer. Talk to us a little bit about the relation with Argonauts Productions and the way that I believe the script or the film went through Cannes, I think, or through a mechanism.
Well, there was a certain mechanism that we did. It was a program that we did with the Greek Film Academy. It lasted for about 3 years, and we selected the best scripts. A committee selected the best scripts after about 3 months of evaluating. And Vivian's film was amongst the 5 that was pre-selected. Then there was a seminar of a workshop of how to develop the script to become a film with many of the members of the Greek film industry that supported their knowledge. So apparently we selected Vivian's film. We were a committee of 5 people, and eventually she got the prize of 15,000 euros. And eventually she did the film after 3 years with the support of her production company, which is Argonauts, that they do quite a lot in Greece.
They do.
I have co-produced feature films with them in the past. That's the story with Vivian.
So was that the final budget for the film, the 50,000?
No, the 15. No, it wasn't. It was I think it was more than 30,000.
30,000. Yeah. Okay. Can you talk us a little bit because Cosmote TV, and I know we're not does a lot of work with a children audience sort of animation. Are there plans to move into more adult audience animation?
Yeah.
What's the interest, do you think, for adult audience animation in the Greek territory?
Yeah. Well, I think after what Daphne introduced us and talk about a few minutes ago, we have the same direction towards adult animation. It's not the prominent film that will make money to the Greek distributors theatrically, but it has potential digitally. So we have also shown these films in the past in our pay TV service, and they did pretty well in the viewership than they did when they were released theatrically or on video on demand. So I think it's something that has a potential. At the moment we are acquiring animation fillers and short films of 15 minutes long or 26 minutes long regarding the Me Too theme. It's a French production that we will be able to show in our Cosmote TV Plus SVOD service at the beginning of 2022, and it's a French production of the distribution company called Miam, I think. So we buy from Mediatoon. We also have the prominent children's brands, which I think it's not good to say here on air. But at the moment we have 11% of our assets are animation, but only about 1% is adult animation.
Okay.
So really, this is our first introduction to the animation genre, and we are here for a call that we're open to accept scripts and projects so we can evaluate them, even if there are European co-productions, because you can also, as a Greek, enter European co-production and still be able to support. So we're open for that, and you can get my details from the festival.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. First of all, thank you for that. Can we open up the floor for some questions? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? No? It was so clear, everything.
Michalis Kaloupedis, you don't have any questions about
Cyprus?
Cyprus and
Yeah.
Cosmote TV?
Yeah. What I was saying is that we're covered with what you mentioned about being open to read scripts and proposals, about projects that are now in development, that you're open to that.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
covered,
open
so
to that, yeah.
we'll be in touch. Thank you.
That is an established process. They contact a specific. Is it something that's published on the internet? The process?
the industry knows that Cosmote TV co-produces, so they find our emails or the generic one or mine or my colleagues, and they send the proposals. Of course, animation is something that's very difficult. There are some restrictions because if they have gone through the ERT and their microfilm program, which is above 51%, then we cannot support it because it belongs as an acquisition to ERT. And there's no pay TV window, so there's no interest from us to support a film that we cannot broadcast. But that's something that the producer needs to decide, and the creator of the film, of where he wants to apply for finance.
Do you have? Sorry.
No, sorry. It's very interesting this story with microfilm, and because a lot of producers and directors.
It's an issue with a lot of
an
co-productions.
Issue, yes, of co-productions, because a lot of people they submit to ERT because of the 1%. But do you think that it could be I don't know kind of solution?
I don't know if it's a solution. I think it's an obstacle, you know.
Yeah, how we could
rest.
overcome this barrier.
But it could be that the fact that ERT supports with a great amount of money, and so they take, you know, ownership by getting 51%. So that's a fact. If somebody wants to be more independent, he can apply to several financial contributors and don't have to go through ERT. Because I think they have a 5-year window, which we can't wait. And of course, internationally, pay TV always is before free-to-air broadcast transmission, so we have to stick to that.
I see.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
How much does Cosmote get involved in the actual sort of the development of a film like Lost and Found? Do you just look at the bigger picture, or do you get into the nitty-gritty of the development?
As soon as the execution company starts its production process, we don't really get involved in the creative process and the filming process. Of course, we have supervision and we go by to the set, or if it's a film that has a live set, or to the post-production offices. But that's about it. There's no involvement and there's no direction on the creative part. It's all absolutely free to the creator.
Okay. Yes, Vasiliki Diagouma from Ecome.
Can I take my mask off when I? First of all, hello. And hello, Grigori. Thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to make a comment on the last part of our discussion. It is a great moment for production right now because there are many stakeholders in the market supporting production. So it's up to the creator in the end of the day to decide what kind of partnership they want to establish for their project and how they want to finance it. There are private sources, there are government sources, there are mixed sources, and everybody has the ability, after they do a lot of research for their sake, to collaborate with partners and see how they can finance it. So it's an open market, and it's there for talented people to present their ideas and make great content. So I wouldn't say, that the boundaries set by ERT and microfilm are something to discuss as an obstacle. Maybe it's an opportunity for creators to decide whether they want to pitch their project to Cosmote, for example, for co-production, or to the Greek Film Center, or ultimately to Ecome, because there are so many ways to finance a project right now that, the field is open. So it's a good case for Greece and for everybody, basically. Okay. Thank you.
Well, choices is what we didn't used to have. So it's great to have choices.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being with
Thank
us.
you,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
sharing with us the case study. We'll be right back with our next session in just a few minutes. Thank you. welcome back, everyone. In our third presentation of the day, in our section, Content and Greek Video on Demand Platforms, we're really happy to have with us Earthflix, a new player and a great platform for the Greek territory. We are welcoming Konstantinos Bourounis, who has clocked more than 20 years in youth media, print and electronic, as a director responsible for both strategic planning and as well as implementation of a variety of productions. In television, he has held position as a programming director and commercial director at Mad Group, but he is here as someone who's been the head of youth and digital programming at Earth, responsible for Earthflix content specifically. So welcome, Mr. Bourounis. Thank you for being here with us. We're excited to hear your presentation.
Good evening to everyone watching us this noon, let's say this afternoon. I'm very happy to be a part of Animasyros since it's a well-known festival regarding its contribution on animation, and not only, I would say, to new formats and new ideas. And I think it was really necessary and wise by you to include the case Earthflix in your plans, in your program. Earthflix is the only Greek free video on demand platform operating at the moment, which is mean that it's free of charge, of course, but as well as it's free of advertisements, free of ads. So in fact, it's a pure entertainment platform provided to everyone that has access on the internet, in fact. I have prepared some slides in order to get some more detailed facts regarding the operation of Earthflix. Is it visible to you now?
Yep, we're good to go.
Good, great. Good, great. So, Earthflix, that little smiley face, first of all in the logo, already expresses, let's say, the strategic turn that Earth decided to follow in terms of youth audience, and that's why I'm speaking today as in charge of youth content, let's say. So already we see let's say, the futuristic strategic that is happening on Earth right now, and Earthflix is its main tool on that. So what's Earthflix? It's a unique success story on public media since it happened just in 1 year. What happened in 1 year? So, in fact, on April 2020, during the first lockdown, just in 1 month, Earth updated its existing hybrid web TV platform, which was already operating, but with really little and catch-up programming. In fact, to a brand new user interface and content free video on demand platform. The first, it was the launch of Earthflix as an official name as well, which was of course free to all users and Greek citizens. It still is the only free video demand platform in Greece, and I think it's going to be for a long time, since other platforms that are about to be launched from other channels are talking about the subscription service. So, where can you find Earthflix? Where can you watch Earthflix? If you have a smart TV, first of all, if it has a hybrid service, you just push the red button on your remote control. But then again, we have developed special apps for all the stores of smart TVs manufacturers, such as Samsung, LG, Android TV applications, and of course for Android box set applications. The last has to do with some, let's say, TV boxes that are already installed in Greece housekeeps, such as Cosmote TV or Wing Vision, for example. They run the Android interface, so you can watch Earthflix to them as well. On mobile, we have separate, of course, development for applications on iOS devices, Android devices, and even Huawei, which has, as you know, a different type of store and applications. And on digital, you just hit earthflix.gr wherever you are. If your IP, of course, is local, and I'm saying wherever you are, and you can watch the full content. On all these available platforms, you can watch the full content of Earthflix. So let's see Earthflix on the menu. What happened, let's say, in more or less 12 months? We already have 35 different category rows of content, such as movies, series, documentaries, different kinds of documentaries. We have news, of course. We have our own content on scripted series. That brings us today, if you enter Earthflix Ledger, to 35 different category rows. Of course, you can watch the live streaming of our TV stations, but on the other hand, you have the exclusivity of Earth Sport channels that now are no longer available on linear transmission, but are exclusively on Netflix, as well as Earth News channel. What is Earth News channel? It's not a 24-hour news channel at the moment, which we're trying to develop, but during major news events, we have a full 24 hours coverage on this channel. So we also have catch-up and on-demand shows produced by Earth as news, entertainment shows, scripted series, interviews, etc. We have catch-up and on-demand of acquired content, obviously, and we're talking about international series, international movies, documentaries. And then, of course, we have a small portion at the moment, a really small portion of exclusive acquired content as international series, movies, sitcoms, or music documentaries. The daily users on the range of 15 to 55 years old is pretty impressive. We have an average of 75,000 people watching us on smart TV applications at Hybrid, as I said earlier. And we have an average of 100,000 people on our mobile apps and sites combined. What's interesting is that we have a really balanced, let's say, audience. It's 50% men and 50% women at the moment. So let's get some more infos. Earthflix has already won an award in Digital Media Awards 2020 for its user interface. Earthflix doesn't allow any content downloading or watch later. In fact, we have no other commercials, as I mentioned before. There's no extra charge or monthly fee of Earth as you get through the electricity bill or the electricity companies. And at the moment, we're working on upgrading and hosting the Earth archive content. This is a major pillar for Earthflix, which is not yet, of course, fully developed. And I'm saying, of course, because we had a vast, let's say, variety of content, as you understand, since the 1970s that Earth has launched as a linear national TV broadcaster. What we're trying to do now is that we're trying to, let's say, we're trying to curate in a way the content that we can provide through our Earthflix, through our Earth archive. And let's say a news bulletin for you is that really soon, maybe next week or like in the next 15 days, we're gonna have a new Earthflix user interface, and you can there get a light registration form just by email, and then you can have a personalization on the content you're watching, on the where you left the content on one device during pausing, that you can continue watching on another device. So in fact, we give you all these amenities that we weren't really able to do in the past. This is why I told you earlier, this is a unique success story on public media, or maybe on media in general. Here we see what happened during the Earthflix launch, in April 2020, and then we can see the progress of the users that are interacting every day with Earthflix. What's more impressive than that is that research that had been done by the National Committee of Telecommunication. It's the latest research done in March 21 that shows, in fact, that, okay, if you leave a big player out, the elephant in the room. Okay, if you read that, it's out. Earthflix just on March, it was almost 12 months of existence, and in just 12 months, it was the first video on demand platform in Greece. And I'm publishing this result because they're already published in the press. You can search for it on the internet if you want to get the same picture as I'm showing here. So that makes us really proud, awfully proud, let's say, of what has managed in 12 months in 2020 to introduce. What we're also very proud of is that if you go by, let's say, video ID at the moment for each episode or a full movie or like video ID, as I said earlier, you can see that we almost have 5,000 different video titles on the platform that you can browse, which I think it's not just impressive, it's impossible. And I have here segmentation on how content, let's say, is shared on this 4,600 different videos. And we can say that we will have a lot of Greek production. We want, of course, to support Greek production already. That's what strategic, let's say, core is about, producing Greek content. Then we have a large amount of European production. And then, of course, we have a much smaller segment of international production, since our first aim is Greek and Europe origin content. And to get you some more inside information, on the past 12 months, what we've seen is that people are using Earthflix to watch our own production, Greek scripted series, especially the new ones. Then we have the international series. After that, the international movies that you can watch as catch-up, let's say, from Earth channels at Earth 1, so Earth 2, and Earth 3. And then we have kids content, where we have loads of animated content as well. And then, of course, sports big events, as Roland Garros or the Olympics. On Earthflix GR, the top viewership is not on series or movies, but in fact is used for the streaming of the Earth Live channels at Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth 3. And then, as I said earlier, the content distribution is mainly on Greek production, secondly on European production, and lastly on international production. That was let's say, that was a quick glimpse. I tried to make it as condensed as possible in order to present you the success story that we're very proud of having here in Earth, and called Earthflix.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll start us right off with a couple of questions. Just, can you talk to us a little bit about a strategy specifically for animation in Earthflix? Are you specifically targeting animation as a category? Do you look only at audiences that are kids? Do you look at adult audience animation? How much has it been part of your strategy?
Okay, at the moment, Earthflix, as I said earlier, is mainly used as a mirror, a catch-up mirror on the program that Earth 1 and Earth 2 and Earth 3 are hosting. So in that directive, in fact, the main animation content that we hold, that we acquire, is the kids content. This means that we have series of short animated videos or short animated series, let's say, mainly for preschool or for school as well ages. And at some points we have tried, of course, to acquire, whatever, and some long feature films, animated films that we think could be a crossover between young audience and maybe older audiences. I'm talking about Asterix full-length movies, for Lucky Luke, for 3G, which was a movie that we acquired in collaboration with the International Kids Festival that takes place here in Athens, and this is regarding, as I say, long length animation. But then again, on short kids series, let's say, I think Earth is really holding up to a, let's say, qualitative selection of what's playing. So we don't have manga, for example. We don't have kids animation that have violence, you know, or are quite extreme, though they may be quite popular on other platforms, or even YouTube, not only platforms as Netflix. So on that area, we are trying to combine the animated series that we get for kids with educational character, if I may say so. We're very proud that we host Magic Bus, for example, which was a series that was really educative. Fact. Or now we have Nabberlocks, which is a series that comes from BBC, if I'm remembering right now. Or what we did is that we got this series called, I don't remember, to be honest, maybe you can help me. The French original title is called Μια φορά και ένα καιρό ήταν ο άνθρωπος, which is an educative series again, but it was also a vintage and emblematic series for Earth Television. So we acquired the rights in order to have the new, say, digital upgraded form of this series, that we're hosting this as well. So to conclude on your question, I would say that our animation is mainly on kids. We don't get exclusive animated content for Earthflix at the moment. And we're trying to combine this animation series with an educative quality character.
Great. Just to what you just said, do you foresee, with the success that Earthflix has on its own right, I understand that right now it's mirroring content, but do you foresee that maybe Earthflix is going to be able to affect the buying of content? Is Earthflix going to try to get content only for on demand, or is it going to try to affect by seeing the results of the different content on your platform as sort of like straight out audience satisfaction or interest? Will you be strategically involved in buying content for it in general?
I would say that we're in a state of sit and wait at the moment. There are two main reasons. One of them is that we're trying to build Earthflix, as I said earlier, with Earth archive content, which is a huge value content for us. So what we're working on, let's say, as production, the production line is on that area. And on the other hand, the sit and wait state has to do with the expectation of the market in general, since they're about to be launched some more platforms here in Greece, video on demand platforms. Of course, they're going to be subscription or they're going to be ad video on demand. We'll see what the model is going to work, but we have to see what's happening in the market and then decide not only for animation, but for other stuff as well, because at the moment, we have acquired, let's say, maybe like 2 or 3% of those 4,600 videos, maybe only 2 or 3% is exclusively acquired content on Earthflix, and it happened for a reason. I mean, for example, we got the documentary Daft Punk because Daft Punk was an emblematic music group that split it all of a sudden. So we needed to react, let's say, on that. So this is the strategic at the moment.
Okay. Let me open it to the floor here if there's any questions from the audience. You have fully satisfied these people. So,
glad to do so.
I just want to thank you very much. I know you've had a busy schedule. Thank you for connecting with us. We appreciate it. Earthflix is here to stay, so we're happy of what it's brought to the industry for us. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.
everyone. We're back with our last presentation for this first morning session of day 3 of Animasyros 2021 Agora. We are delighted to have with us Géraldine Bachet from MIFA, Animation du Monde. Géraldine was kind enough to be here with us last year and set up an amazing pitching forum workshop that brought out almost 3 winners, I would say. 2 clear out winners that went and pitched at Annecy this past summer, and an invitation to MIFA for the 3rd project. We have tried to do our best to follow that up this year with her recommendations and the experience we garnered last year with Folimage, which has been great. I'll just say a couple of things. Géraldine has been working with the Annecy Festival for 20 years at this point. For the last 10 years, she has worked specifically with young talents, providing direction in early stages of their projects and fostering the production process. MIFA pitches, Animation du Monde, and recently the Annecy Festival residency are among the missions she manages. Thanks for being here with us, Géraldine.
Thank you, Yanni, and hello everyone. I miss you so much. I hope you have a very good edition. And as you said, Yannis, it was such a great pleasure to be with you last year. So yes, of course I miss you, and I hope everything is going well. But I guess, because I know pretty well people from Folimage, and I'm sure that they are doing the same job like we did last year. And so I look forward to saying more about the project that are involved in this workshop this year. So I will start my presentation. The idea is to tell you a bit more about what we did last year according to the label Animation du Monde, and what can it brings to other countries like we did for the Mediterranean countries. So first of all, I just want to say a few words, but I guess most of the people in the audience knows about Annecy. So you introduced myself, so I won't tell much more about myself, but I think Annecy is one of the biggest festivals around the world. It's based in the southeast of France, and in a small town surrounded by a lake and mountains that make it so charming, but maybe not on the level of Syros, of course. I think so, yeah. So maybe just to introduce the festival before focusing on Animation du Monde, I think the best way to show you the ambience, even if the last edition was not a real one edition because we did a hybrid edition, I sent to Yanni a small video, so maybe we can play it, and then I can go back. We can go back to me.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
We're in 6 different countries. It's a good thing, trust me.
This is really the girl of our dreams.
attending the world premiere of Lamia's Vogue.
Back.
Okay, thank you. I told you that it was a hybrid edition, so it's difficult to compare the previous edition to what we are used to hold regularly. We get 4,000 participants compared to 13,000 participants in 2019. But it was great to have this edition. I think it was very important, as you are doing, I think, in Syros. To meet people again and to have at least some event physical. So I think it's very important for the community to keep in touch, and if we can, to have them all together again. I think we all need that. So you told a few words about me, Yanis, and I think you were great. Within the festival, I wear several hats. But I have one common objective, which is to support young or new talent, at least. I do this with young children at school. I do also this abroad, like we did last year in Greece, but in many other countries. And also with artists in residency in Annecy. It was the first edition last year. We welcomed 3 directors who wanted to work on the graphic development of their feature film, animated feature film. And it was a great edition, even with the COVID situation. We made it, and so we were very happy with that. So I think that's what I really want to do. And it's very recent, but I think it was like 10 days ago. I didn't know about that, but every year there is an organism in France, SACD. They fight for the right of author, and they invite me for rewarding me with this Beaumarchais médaille. And I was very happy for that, because for me, it really showed me that my struggle was right. So it was very important.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Yanni. So I think that what I do for the author in Annecy, but everywhere in the world, makes really sense with Animation du Monde. Animation du Monde is a label. The goal is really to support talent all over the world, whatever the condition, and especially where there is no school, where people cannot learn. They have to learn by themselves. Well, probably there is no institution, commission of film like we have in France, like CNC or this kind of thing. So that's why we try to have this workshop in emerging countries. So I mentioned few destinations, few countries I went before, from 2015 to, the last one was in Greece, actually, last year. So we went in Armenia, Argentina, Cameroon, China, Ecuador, Thailand, everywhere. Africa, Latin America, Asia. We try to, we don't make any research. Usually people come to us. We have discussion with the territories, with the talents, asking for support, and then it's like 2 years of discussion. And finally, we do that because we think it's really relevant for the countries, and usually it works pretty well. Here on this slide, you can see some projects that comes to life. So just to show you that what we do during the workshop is can be very useful for few projects, not all of them, of course. We would love to be helpful for all of them, but it's not the only 6 one, but I mentioned them, and if you can see on the screen, you have the Pocket Man, I Am Sad, and I try to find the title in English, the Tiger Without Stripe, and these 3 projects have been supported during Animasyros du Monde. They pitch in Annecy, and they finally have been produced by Folimage. So for me, it's very important to focus on them, especially because I know that Folimage is part of your Agora this year, and just to show you how it is important to have them involved in your Agora. The other have been produced or co-produced by France or other country in Europe. But as you can see, all of them are short film. It's one of the format that is probably easier to produce because of the expense and the budget. So I think that's why we decided last year to only focus on short film. So last year, just to give you an idea of a calendar, we did it in September, like at the same season than this year. We did a call for project during the summer. We received 25 projects from Greece and the neighboring countries. We did a selection of only 6 projects, because if you want to do a very useful workshop, it's quite difficult to have too many projects to follow. And then we had 3 intensive days with one-to-one meetings. Usually when we work, when we do the workshop Animasyros du Monde, we don't expect to give any advice in terms of technique, but more focusing on the storytelling, on the graphic Bible, and the big practice. So for us, we try to find the project that are strong enough in terms of techniques and graphic design, and then we really think that during the workshop we can really work on what can make the difference. If they attend a market, they're strong enough, but they need to be more attractive in terms of story. Then we really try to work on that, and when you have a good story, it's great to be able to convince your audience. So we also try to work on the big practice. Then we did the mentorship. I was there with Antoine Bietou, who was very great, the co-founder and producer of Ledak Film. Then we had this official pitching session with a jury made of other experts of animation invited in Syros. And as you said, Yanni, we awarded 2 projects. They were invited in Annecy, and they were officially selected in the pitching session of Annecy. And we also offered one special mention to another project that were, I think, strong enough, I mean, just to take advantage of the market. And we thought it was better to help the 2 other projects. I wanted to show you the project we are talking about. So Mesut and Oscar were the 2 projects invited to the pitching session, and Travelberg was the special mention. Just to tell you a few words about what happened to them in Annecy. Of course, as I told you, it was a hybrid edition. So the pitching session was online, and the market was not as big as we are used to have. I mentioned a few figures on this slide to show what is a normal edition. It's like 4 days with a very big market with more than 4,000 professionals. And the pitching session is also a spotlight of projects, the very best 40 projects only among the 500 submitted each year. So it's like the very best of with the live pitching on stage. So of course it was very different for them. But from what I heard, because I met them, we were very happy to have them in Annecy. It was very important. They were able to meet people, to have some network on site. With the festival was mostly French and European, of course, not many people, not a huge audience from US or Latin America or Asia, because it was too difficult to travel. But they did some network. We were in contact because even after Animation du Monde and after Annecy, I always try to keep in touch. For me, it's very important that like when you have a cake in the oven, you know, and you open it and then and so for me, it's very important because I know that when they go back home, for them, it's very frustrating because it was so easy to meet people during Annecy, and then they go back home and wow, there's nobody there and they don't know what to do. So we try to keep in touch, and if we can help again, of course we do. And I know that Mesut, they met several people and get quite good meeting. They are in discussion with for co-production with France and or because they haven't decided yet, or Germany. And for Oscar, the girl were younger. It was the first project, so I think it was very interesting for them to see how big a market can be and what it can bring to them. So I think I don't know. I think they didn't meet. So I'm not sure they did so great contact or so great networking because the project is at its early stage and they have to probably try to enrich it and to work on it. They told me that maybe they think to probably change the technique. So I think it's also a very good feedback to know that probably the technique you have chosen is not the good one. It can be very expensive and very long to do. And instead of walking, you know, for nothing, then I think they get very good feedback, and now they are back in Greece and they can decide to work in a different way on this project. And I think they're in touch with a few people internationally. So I think they will send the project again once it will be improved and or maybe when they will have more visual or new visual or this kind of thing. So I think for both of them it was a quite good experience anyway. Maybe to conclude, I don't know the time, but I think it's fine, Yanni.
Yep.
What I wanted to tell you, because I think Animation du Monde is a great device, and I know that many countries ask the support, and we are very happy to travel all over the world and to meet so great people and new talent in different countries all over the world. So, of course, it's very important, but beyond that, I really think that nothing can really happen without support. For the support of Annecy, but also the support of your own country. And, in any all the Animation du Monde workshop we did previously, and the next one we will do soon, I hope, and not only remotely, is to work closely with the delegation, with the institution, with a festival or a market that are already on site, because as I told you, when the talent come to Annecy, they're happy, they meet people, and when they come back, sometimes nothing happens. So the thing is, if we really want to help them, is to support them through the Agora or the kind of thing we try to do all together with partnership, with friends, with Annecy, with Folimage. That's great, of course. And of course, it's very important when the delegation can also come to Annecy to be proud of this talent and to try to be side by them and to keep encouraging them and to see how they can find money for them. I really think that it's the festival is a showcase. Is also we try to bring experience and expertise, but we can't bring any money, and we all know that the film cannot be done without money. So, of course, and I know that in Animasyros they attend Annecy strongly, and I know that you are used to co-produce with France and the other countries. So the thing is to be really side by your talent and this young artists. I think it's very useful for them. So thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, I will be happy to answer.
Well, thank you so much, Geraldine.
So thank you so much, Geraldine. She can't see me, but yes, you can watch later on YouTube the whole video. We're so grateful. The rencontre between Animasyros, Mifa, Geraldine, it was really important for us because you open a path. And now we go on. We're more experienced and ready to support each other. So thank you again. And
we hope to see you back in Syros soon.
Yes,
you know?
we miss you.
I hope to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.